All right, guys, welcome to the last match of the first stage of the Florjaws tournament edition. With us today, we have judges Aryan Singhania and Kamal Kole. Majumdar, thank you guys for joining in. And as our participants in the speaking order as well is the debatable debaters represented by Ayut Pramanik and Aryan Sapati. And along with them are a team that call themselves the Losers, represented by Ayush Gupta and Devam Sarkar. There is also the destructive duos, Swapindu Bhattacharya and Aditya Goswami, Dynamo Twice, represented by Pradyumna Hata and Aneek Chatterjee, and there were also the Lehman brothers. However, they weren't able to attend because of some unforeseen circumstances, so they will no longer be a part of the debate. That in mind, before we begin, I would like to mention that this tournament is in association with a student-led initiative called Project Suffer, which is an initiative that is designed towards helping migrant workers get back to their place of stay. So far, in their short span of existence, they have helped over 150 workers get back to their homes safely, and COVID and have had no COVID situation so far, and are projected to help another 163 more by the end of this month. And all the proceeds from this debate tournament will be going towards them. So I would request all viewers to help in any way, shape or form possible. We accept donations on Paytm, Google Pay, and a direct transfer that we can guide you about on our Instagram page. So you can message us and we can guide you through the process. That in mind, I will no longer take much more time and we will dive right into the debate. So the first team that we will have speaking are the debatable debaters, and I would request the team to identify their proposition speaker as well as their opposition speaker.
The
Arihan
proposition speaker is
Satpathy.
me, Aryan Satpathy.
And I'm Ayut Pramanik. I'll be going for opposition.
Right. So Arihant, you, like all the other debaters, will have 4 minutes to speak. Are you ready?
Yes.
Right. You may begin.
So, very good evening to everyone present here. We are here debating upon whether online activism is as effective as offline activism. So, let's begin by defining online activism. So, online activism or digital activism is when digital tools like internet, mobile phones, and other forms of social media are used to bring about a social and political change through virtuality. Now, many people think today that social media are often thought of as the new ground for political and social activism. However, while it's easy to create a social movement on Twitter or Facebook, it's not easy to keep it up and bring it to the offline platform or to bring in any official change. Before the internet changed the speed at which the world moves, movements were slower growing. A year of organizing and directly advocating for change led to the um, led to protests, sit-ins, and many kinds of other boycotts that led to social and political change. But today, by just clicking a like or commenting on some issue, you can post your idea or thrust your thrust your um, views on a particular topic. However, today many people still do not have proper access to internet. According to a research of Economic Times, around 500 million people use internet in India, which is less than half of its population. And it's even worse in rural areas where the internet activity goes down to less than 25%. Now, digital activism often succeeds in its motive when it encourages offline action. Now, we sitting here may debate and then comment on different type of social media that this particular thing was wrong or that particular thing was wrong. However, it's up to the officials or the government that has to do what is to be done in order to deliver justice. For example, in the recent ongoing Sushant Singh Rajput's case, there was a petition in many of our WhatsApp groups of the website change.org, in which you were required to sign a petition against nepotism. However, many of the nepotism stars who have been accused of carrying on this in Bollywood, like many of the star kids and directors like Karan Johar and Vidhu Vinod Chopra, nothing much has been done in this in the due to this social activism. However, like in case of George Floyd, more than the social media activism, the sit-ins and the protests that occurred in US, UK, and many other parts of the country had more effect than what happened in social media, and which led US delivering justice by suspending the 4 police officers who were convicted of the crime. Now, under the pretext of social media activism, there are many acts of cybercrime which are done, such as malicious hacking or cyberbullying. There have been many instances when people have been seriously trolled on the views, which has led them to be suffer a severe breakdown and go into depression, and many have
Arihant, wrap up.
also taken up suicide. Okay. I would like to conclude by saying that online activism is good when we are sitting in our homes and we are putting a like or commenting. But then real participation comes up when we go onto the streets and protest against injustice. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Aryant. You made your points quite clear there. Yes, Devam?
Oh, the questions are asked after the opposition and proposition.
Right. Right.
Sorry.
Yes. After each, after both members of the doers have finished speeches. Right. That in mind. Thank you, Aryant. And we will now see what your teammate has to say to kick off the debate for the opposition, which will be represented first by Ayud Pramanik. Ayud, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Right, fair enough. Ayud, you have 4 minutes on the clock. You may begin.
Okay, so when we talk about social media activism, we know that platforms like Twitter, Instagram, things that spark off these huge changes that might lead to even having an impression on the authorities concerned. These are what the people who have most of the opinions from the upcoming generation. It's not like, in times like this they can convene a huge mass gathering where they will speak about this. So they're the only thing that they can take in recourse to is take to social media and speak about this. Now we have seen several such cases in history, which were movements, online movements, which were uh, aimed towards a certain change to be brought about. And I let me cite the example of Black Lives Matter, the hashtag Black Lives Matter. It was due to the death of George Floyd, and it was aimed at to stop discrimination based on color, and to to intervene in the merciless violence that is inflicted by the police on the black community, just because their their skin color is black. And we know that he was arrested by all the 4 police officers because he forged a $20 note for buying cigarettes. What if a white man did this? He would make this, he would probably be talking about this at a party as a joke. But as a culmination of this trivial crime, George Floyd was murdered by these 4 policemen. Now, the hashtag Black Lives Matter movement, it was started on Twitter. It was a hashtag that was used for over 12 million times. It became the 3rd most used Twitter hashtag, which revolves around a social issue. It resulted in the sacking of all of the 4 officers who were also charged with second degree manslaughter and second degree murder. Um, then we have another campaign such as hashtag Stop Funding Hate. It was a UK grassroots activism opposed against anti-migrant newspapers, British newspapers which had an anti-migrant position. We know that because of this, last year Lego pulled its promotional giveaways from the Daily Mail. The Body Shop joined them when they cut ties with the same newspaper. We also know that Match of the Day presenter Gary Lineker approached the Walkers about their partnership with The Sun. Now we have another huge social media movement, that was the Taiwan student protests. It began in March 2014 with student demonstrators in Taiwan, which occupied a parliament building in a arduous 23-day process because they were worried in protest of a controversial trade pact that was made with China. Now, worried that the government will shut down the internet to curb the protest, they used an app called FireChat, which which allows you to send
Ayub, wrap
messages
up.
to which allows you to send messages to another other people offline. And this app became the #1 app in Taiwan in just 3 days. And the students, they did not leave until they reached an argument with Wang Jingping, the speaker, until an agreement was made with him that a trade pact that the legislation
Ayub,
will
there
be
are
in place.
questions. Please wrap up.
Yes, that included a broader oversight of all the deals with China. Well, we see that this app became an invaluable tool for the protesters. I would like to conclude saying that we have seen huge changes like this, and social media is definitely a very effective tool when it comes to protesters or people to give them a voice that will make any change, that will even start of a movement. Thank you.
Fair enough. A very heartfelt statement was made by Arihant Ayud to conclude his speech. With that, we will now open the floor to questions upon this duo's proposition speaker, Arihant. All those with questions, you may voice yourselves. Right. Devam. Right. We'll take Devam's question.
Sir, you talked about how actually going to the physical protest is much more important rather than what happens virtually through the virtual platforms. So don't you think this particular movement or the hashtags in the online platforms is something which provokes the protest in the actual life?
I got your question. I don't think so that online media has provoked or has been much provocative or encouraging in uh, uh, making a protest or organizing a protest against injustice, because in when the social media was not as active, we also had protests. And then again, uh, talking about offline modes of protesting, the sit-ins and demonstrations and hunger strikes, they are obviously more effective because they appeal to greater masses. And through social media, it is limited to only internet users, so it is
Wrap up, Arihant.
not a very broad spectrum. Yes, that's it.
Right. Before we move on to the next question, I would like to remind all the speakers that there is a 30-second cap on how long you can ask a question for, and a 1-minute cap on how long you can answer the question for. That in mind, Pradyum, go ahead.
I had a question for the opposition.
Right. Before we move on to the opposition speakers, we will first take a question from the judges if they have one towards Arihant, and then move on. Anik.
Aryan, do you have one, or should I ask?
No, I don't have one.
All right. Now we will take questions upon Ayud.
Priyansh, I have a question.
Oh, right. I'm so sorry. Kamalkuri, go ahead.
Right. So, Arihant, you spoke about George Floyd and the protests that followed. don't you think it was the activism on social media, whether it was by celebrities or by everyday people, which organized people so that they could attend these rallies and protests, and a lot of information even during these rallies and protests were spread through social media, thus nullifying your entire argument?
Um, yes, ma'am, I got your question. Yes, to a considerable extent, the activism on social media was encouraged. The protests of protest for the justice of George Floyd. However, the real action that was taken, I believe, was only when offline protests and demonstrations were taken.
Right. Fair enough. Thank you, Aryan.
All right.
I had a
Is
question.
the judges have a question to Ayush?
Yeah. You can
Yes.
ask another question if you want, Aryan.
Right now?
Oh, I will come to that question after the rest of the participants. All right. So yeah, we'll now be
I
taking
have a question. Can I ask?
you have a question towards Arihant or Ayud?
Towards the opposition.
Opposition, yes, we'll be recognizing them now. We'll first, could all those with a question please raise their hands? Right. We'll take Anik's question followed by Swapnindu and Pradyum.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So my question to the Speaker of the Opposition is, given the fact that the Martin Luther King's um, civil rights movement and offline movement quite a sparked quite a large change being offline. How do you think it will cause? How do you think the current Black Lives Matter movement might emulate the same?
See, I don't think we are arguing about we are comparing between the amount of change that these two movements might bring, but we definitely know that the Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, see, you're comparing it with one movement that Martin Luther King Jr. Came up with, but
I'm sorry, could all the spectators please keep their mics on mute? Ayud, carry on. I'm so sorry.
yeah. So we definitely know that it did bring about a huge change. We don't know whether it will emulate the change that Martin Luther brought about. But yes, it did definitely have an impact, a huge one at that.
Right. Fair enough. Thank you, Ayud. With that, we will move on to question. We will move on to the question from Swapnindu and then move on to Pradyum. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what I was saying was, if my knowledge is correct, the Black Lives Movement hashtag is not actually of this year. It's from name was shot by police, so it's not exactly a hashtag which was started this year. It's not a new trend. It was there since 2K12.
Well, what exactly is your question?
So my question is that you said that it started now, so it's a new trend and like
No,
people were reunited.
I didn't say that it started now. Or it's a new trend.
It brought
All I
people.
said was
Okay.
since it got started. It started. Even considering your knowledge is right, it regained the limelight in this year. And since the debate is about whether it brought about a change or not, I believe yes, it did. Even though it might have been going on for going on since before this year, it regained the spotlight in this year.
Fair enough. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Swapnindu and Ayud. We will now move on to the question from Pradyum and then see what the judges have to say. Pradyum, go ahead.
So as you know, preaching is not exactly practicing. You spoke about how many hashtags, how many times it has been retweeted, the Black Lives Movement hashtag, Black Lives Matter hashtag. But how do you think that quantity ensures quality? Today, so many people are just posting a blank screen on Instagram or on Twitter thinking that they're activists. However, propagate, like just preaching something doesn't mean that they're practicing it. So how does quantity specify or talk, like basically lead to quality of the movement?
See, when we are talking about a social media platform, it's obvious that people who cannot, who do not have the resources available to them to maybe speak at a public gathering, or may have a seminar where they can publicly speak about all this. Yes, maybe quality does not always ensure quantity always does not ensure quality. But whether you would call someone a hypocrite, whether you will call someone a hypocrite based on what they said is very subjective, because it also takes into account the ideals that you believe in and the way that you think activism should be done. So how the quality of what a person is talking about is very subjective. So while you might believe that people are calling people are calling themselves activists by just saying something, some other person might have been influenced by what they had to say, and hence the cycle continues.
Fair
Does
enough.
that answer your question?
Hopefully it does. There will be no follow-ups. Thank you, Ayud. Thank you, Pradyum. With that, Komalkoli, Aryan, do either of you have a question?
I had a question to Ayod.
Yes, Aryan, go ahead.
Right, so Ayod, in multiple parts of your speeches, you stated how this particular hashtag led to that offline action, even in the example of China that you gave. Do you somewhere agree to the fact that it is at the end of everything, it is the offline action that bears the actual fruit and not the online action, which is what the motion states, right? The online action, I believe your point that it leads to offline action, but do you believe that it is the offline action that actually gets the change done, and that is the actual fruit of the activism?
Yes, I would agree with that, but then again, sometimes the offline action that was taken might not even exist if it not had been for the online action.
Absolutely understood. Thank you.
Fair enough. That being clear, thank you, Aryan. Komalkoli, do you have a question, or shall we move on? Fair enough. That being seen, we will now move on to the next team. Thank you, debatable debaters. And now we will come to the losers, as they call themselves. Let's see how far they come to a victory this time. And they're represented by Ayush Gupta and Devam Sarkar. Do identify your proposition speaker and your opposition speaker.
Right. So me, Ayush Gupta, will be speaking for the proposition, and Devam Sarkar will be speaking as the opposition.
Right, fair enough. That in mind, Ayush, like all the other debaters, you will have 4 minutes to make your stance put forward your stance to the floor. So yeah, the floor is yours.
Right. So good evening to everyone present. I'm Ayush Gupta in proposition of the statement that online activism bears no tangible result. Now, firstly, we need to realize that the internet is not egalitarian. It consists mostly of a two-tiered society with younger generations like Generation Z that remain active in most political engagement, whereas older generations turn mute. Voicing their opinions remains a distinct probability. Now, online activism cannot capture the opinions of every generation. For example, people above the age of 40 only account for about 15% of the internet. And generally speaking, clicking a like on someone's Facebook post or retweeting a trending hashtag on Twitter requires less effort and foresight than joining a demonstration on streets. And thus, this quote-unquote collectivism creates a false sense of making a difference and undermines most real-life activities. This in turn turns activism reductive or even passive, and it's known as slacktivism. Now, again, posting something on your Instagram stories, right? Most people feel obligated to a certain privilege or recognition that they've done something good without having taken any substantial action. and which provides themselves another false sense of entitlement, right? Now we need to realize that susceptibility to fraud is yet another concern to social media, reminding the house of the hashtag Blue for Sudan movement, which is not the sole case of sympathy scamming in recent memory, right? Yet again, digital activism should only be considered extremely necessary when other conventional methods of addressing injustice fail, and a combination of offline and online actions or hybrid activism should be explored. Again, online activism can be seen in terms of the Pride Month. Okay, now most corporations tend to identify as LGBTQ supporters, yet disappear right after June is over. Now, furthermore, corporations that have roots or branches, at least in areas of, let's say, the Middle East, right, shy away from LGBTQ activism, leading to no result in the region. An example of this would be the gaming company Bethesda that chose not to change the profile pic in the Middle East branch, right, on Twitter. Right, to those who wish to bring up the George Floyd protests, acknowledge that most of it was conducted, or a lot of it was conducted online because of the limitation of a pandemic, and stuff like blackout and its online activism had very little impact, and actual policy was only enacted after physical protests took place. Also, online activism is more often than not artificially manufactured, right? And social media boycotts are often misrepresented as nationalistic movements by the masses. An example of this would be the recent Chinese apps being banned. Now, this is manufacturing a party-based sentiment and is meant mostly for individual gain more often than not. By that, what I mean is that it's a rich man's tool, and massive data mining in social media platforms like Facebook prove it. Now, a single billionaire could honestly hire more activists in, let's say, Bangladesh and have far more impact on a policymaker than your single tweet. And we could see this with the grassroots movement attempted by Bernie Sanders in his presidential campaign, and how it was relatively ineffective against a large number of artificial trolls that, according to WikiLeaks, was produced by the Hillary Clinton campaign in 2016. Now, the ruling party in our own country, in a ruling party in our own country conducts hired online activism, such as hiring influential individuals and actors to propagate party sentiments and artificially manipulate the masses. An example of this would be the non-political interview conducted by Akshay Kumar that was largely seen by a propaganda stunt by the BJP. With that, I conclude my statement.
A very constructive speech by Ayush Gupta. With that, we have come to the end of the proposition stance of the losers. And we shall see where the other loser, what the other loser can do from the opposition in Devam Sarkar. Devam, like Ayush, you will have 4 minutes. Are you ready?
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are. So, yes, sir, you may begin.
So, ladies and gentlemen, hello, this is Devam Sarkar, and today I'll be going against the agenda item. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have ever gone to USA and you drive by Santa Monica, you'll see that there are 20 million trees planted around you, and you basically know why. So I can already see people laughing. Yeah, it's because of Mr. Beast. Something which started as a YouTube hashtag has resulted in the plantation of 20 million trees, ladies and gentlemen. What better example can I give you of this online activism being tangible? Now, okay, let us start from the very beginning here. Let me make you understand the agenda itself. Online activism, understand one thing, that online activism can be good as well as bad, right? The question is not whether how effective online activism is with regards to it being ethical. The question is whether it's tangible or not, right? So people have been arguing the fact that whether it's effective or not. However, the question is whether it's tangible in the real world. So essentially, the question here is that to what degree is online activism tangible? Understand one thing, that the question which is stated in the agenda, that is online activism tangible, is not correct according to my opinion. The question should be, to what extent is online activism tangible? Understand that in any kind of social activity, the question is not whether it's black or white, right? The question is whether it's gray. To what extent is gray? The question is, to what extent does that online activism thing work out? Understand that even in the modern physical protest, the question is not whether what you're trying to say to any particular authority or political organization, whether it's fulfilled or not. The real question is to what degree or to what extent you have been able to make your stance justified to them. Right? Think about an anti-feminist. Right? When you are going through any online activism and you're sharing a hashtag which says feminist, do you really think it's going to affect the anti-feminist, and the next day when he comes up he's going to directly support the concept of feminism? No. However, it's going to affect him mentally, that he is going to be convinced of that to a certain adapt or to a certain degree. Now, with that said, let me get to the most important question here. That is, how tangible is this online activism? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I can give you 1,000 examples of how this is tangible, but I have already seen that the opposition speaker lastly has given a lot of examples, so I would not go that. Rather, I'll stick to the logical part of the spectrum, because, as they say, a fact without a logic is nothing short of a magic, right? So, getting back, so understand that the real thing is that how much the real question is that how is online activism affecting the activities in the real life. Understand that when a person is seeing any kind of online activism, it affects him mentally. His mental or the psychological maturity that develops in him is the thing which actually helps him invoke the protests in the daily life. Right? We have already seen Black Lives protest thing come up. Understand that many people have also said that the protest was actually effective. Understand what has invoked the protest, the psychological maturity, the hashtags that he has seen in the social media. That is what which has affected, right? So it's a request to all the house that to believe that online activism as not as a direct action. It's the transition phase, or it's the psychological maturity which the online platform develops in you, which actually helps you to give the results in the practical life. So with that said, I rest my case, but not my stance. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
With 15 seconds left in his speech, a very that brings us to the conclusion of the speeches made by the losers, and they have made quite the compelling case for their team here, and we will see what our participants have to say about these losers. We will start with
I have a question for the proposition.
right. We will be recognizing them. We will start with you, Ayud, and
Okay.
move on to Anik.
So my question to the proposition is that you say that it's really superficial. It has no tangible results at all when you talk about online activism, and the whole offline action that is taken is tangible in itself. That is the tangible thing. That is the tangible result that we get. Now, if there was nothing that sparked of the thing in the first place, is like how do we get the tangible result in the form of offline action that's taken? Is that not an achievement? Is that
Shall I
not
answer your
a
question?
tangible result?
Shall I answer your question? Okay, so I agree with you saying that it sparks, it is the spark and it is the first or transitionary phase. Now, again, I'll mention how digital activism should be considered when the conventional methods of addressing that form of injustice fails, right? And if that is the case, a combination of offline and online activities should be undertaken. That is called hybrid activism. Now, online activism may or may not lead to offline activism, which is what produces a tangible result, and then only it should be considered. Right? Hope that answers your question.
Hopefully it does, Ayush. We will now move on to Anik.
Yes. So my question to the speaker of side proposition is, given that it's in the 21st century and given the recent pandemic, the world is slowly but steadily moving into, this world is becoming highly dependent on online mediums. Given the success that online activism has propagated in the past, will you still maintain your stance in the current global situation?
Okay, so I believe what you said was that we're moving towards an online medium, right? Now that might not necessarily mean that it accounts for more voices to be heard, right? That might not necessarily be the case. And as I said, that is not the case, because other older generations, like ones above the age of 40, above the age of 50, and for the ages above the age of 50, only 6% of those comprise of the internet, right? So that still leads to a very big, what do I say, very hollow space where that, where that is not achieved, where that activism is not achieved, because activism spans generations. And it's not the question of whether we're moving into an online medium mostly, and it's a question of whether that online medium can lead to a tangible result.
Understood, Ayush. Thank you. Are there any other questions on Ayush's speech? Shall we move on? Right.
So yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, I was coming to the judges, Aryan and Kohli. So we'll start with Kohli. Go ahead.
Right, Aish. So you talked about how the older generation isn't included, or like you gave statistics of how 6% of it's only 6% of people above the age of 40 who are part of the internet and thus are able to take part in online activism. So how many people above the age of 40 do you think are currently out there sitting in on protests and going for marches? Because I can say that, do you think that what you just said in the light of what I just told you is a false equivalency? Considering the fact that there is also a very less number of people over the age of 40 also physically going to protests.
Okay, so that is a really good question, and what I'll say is that what I gave you was a statistic, right? So 6% of the people, or 15% of the internet is above the age of 40, right? Now that, okay, so again, offline activism is not simply limited to protests, right? Now the problem is that online activism consists of social media, consists of petitions, etc. That is usually not accessible to older generations. Now offline activism is not limited to those protests. Now anything that determines policy or a nationwide policy let's say by older generations that isn't conducted online can be a part of offline activism. Even sending letters, even having your voice heard, getting it
Ayush,
heard
an answer,
is a
not a
method,
speech,
right?
please.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that's
Okay,
my
so
answer.
Yash, can I get a quick follow-up?
I'd request you to keep it short because we have
Yeah.
3 more teams. Yeah.
Yeah. So you talked about sending letters. How is that any different from signing a petition online?
Yeah, what I'll say is that it's not necessarily that different, okay? But one thing is that it's more accessible to the older generations, and the second thing is online petitions brings back the issue of slacktivism, right? Now there are a lot of online petitions.
I got it. Ayush, thank you. So Yash, you can move on.
Right. Excellent. So now we'll be taking questions towards the opposition speaker, which is Devam. And we will first take a question from Pradyum and see if anyone else has one.
Okay, so you in your speech you spoke about how online activism can be good and bad, and good or bad, and how activism does not have ethical connotation, right? Considering the fact that it is easier to make racist comments on the internet because the government, or let's say it's more easier to commit cyberbullying, or it's more easier to commit cyberbullying than committing bullying in school, because there the school is there to supervise you. Considering the fact that it is easier for you to propagate bad activism on the internet, doesn't the good activism get nullified by the bad activism on the internet?
Sir, that is exactly what I addressed in my speech. Firstly, understand that the agenda is not whether activism is good or bad, whether it's tangible or not. So even if an activism is bad, if it's tangible, then my stance is proved, right? You said that whether cyberbullying is something which is levied in the practical life as well. Understand, doesn't it affect the mental health? Isn't when he, yeah, fine, sir. Thank you.
Right. Is there anyone else with a question towards Devam? Right. So we will take one from the judges, which is Aryan. Go ahead.
Right. So Devam, you spoke about how online activism achieves some sort of psychological maturity among the viewers who see it, right? So when I see a post, I am supposed to get emotionally conditioned to the idea that it's propagating. My question to you is, how is the audience always correct? So I'll take a recent example in the case of the Manav Singh case, or in the case of whatever the recent rape protests, right? Where everyone came up with stories. generally a teenager or anyone in this call, in their audience or in their reach, they do not have a potential rapist. If I know for a fact that rape is a very bad thing to do, and so does everyone on my following list, how does me telling them that rape is a bad thing to do make any difference? If they're already, my basic question is, if a person is already emotionally conditioned to a particular ideology, why is social media any more useful?
Sir, so the basic question that you posed was that does the audience get what the particular person who has started the post trying to convey, right?
No,
So,
does
sir,
the audience's mind changed is my question.
okay, sir. So, how is the particular person able to convince that whoever is the viewer, right? So, sir, understand that again, sticking to the agenda here. The agenda here is how tangible it is. So, right. So, the basic question is it implemented in the practical world? Whether a particular person takes it in the right manner, whether he takes it in the negative manner, is not something which is up to debate here. What is up to debate is whether it's being practically implemented, and which I believe it is, right?
Okay, got it, sir.
Thank you.
Right. With that, thank you, Aryan, and thank you, Devam. That wraps it up for the team losers speeches. Thank you for your thank you to the both of you, and we will now move on to the next team, which is the team of the destructive duo. My apologies, represented by Swapnendu Bhattacharya and Aditya Goswami. Could the two of you please identify your proposition and opposition speaker?
I'm proposition.
Aditya Goswami is speaking for the proposition and I'm for the opposition.
Right. That in mind, Aditya Goswami, you have, like the rest, 4 minutes on the clock. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Aditya, and I'm speaking for the motion that internet is a.
Aditya, I'm going to have to stop you for a second. I don't think you're very audible.
Placement.
We'll restart your time. Can you just speak a little closer to your mic? You weren't very audible.
My internet connection says it's unstable. So like, could I switch off my video or something? I don't know.
Right, sure. If that helps, it's completely all right. We'll have to make do with it. So yeah, you may begin.
So this house believes that that like online activism is not a very tangible source. I agree with them. This is because in the internet you have millions of kinds of people entering it. Now among these people you have people with vested interests, people who will do unnecessary criticism and trolling, um, and it is restricted to a specific strata of society. So like when I speak about vested interests, I can take it into two parts. Number one, um, there are people like who are frauds. They might as you've seen in change.org, there are many petitions which are based upon money. Like suppose I received this post from someone which said like food for the starving people on the streets in Kolkata. Now see, the person, I know it is it is the right thing they're saying, but will you ever feel confident if you're handing over your credit card credentials to someone you have never seen, let alone talked to? Secondly, uh, secondly, even if the person is honest, um, there's no there's no okay, sorry, I just made a mistake. Even though suppose a person is of a bad mind, like suppose he takes your credit card credentials and uses it for buying something else. Like suppose I give my credit card pin to someone for for a transaction for food for the people on the streets. How much guarantee do I have that the person I'm giving the money to won't use it for bad purposes? This is by far one of a is a very big concern. Secondly, it is crude topics. Um, Devam was talking about Mr. Beast planting 20 million trees. The same Mr. Beast was hosting a storming into Area 51. So don't you think like there should be like those are crude topics. Those are not really. something which would relate to you or affect a person in his daily life. And if I'm not correct, the same 20 million, the people who planted the 20 million trees resulted in 20 people just making a picnic out in area 51. Uh, another another thing is people are often subjected to unnecessary criticism and trolling. Suppose if someone commits something which is not right in online activism, there are many people who end up unnecessarily criticizing the person. um, okay. Also, like in case of Sushant Singh Rajput, which is like raging. I understand what happened to him was very bad, but we can't change anything in Bollywood anymore. Like he's gone, and we cannot bring him back from the dead by signing those petitions. Now many will argue that we might be like catch the wrong people, but hello, hello.
Go on, go on.
Go ahead, go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay, like hello. কি হচ্ছে? So like Sushant Singh Rajput is gone, and like people like Karan Johar, who are supposedly nepotists and who have disfavored Sushant Singh Rajput, may have been will be given justice by online social media, but till what extent? Like because in Bollywood you have, not in Bollywood, like in general India,
Wrap up.
justice. Hello.
Yeah, wrap up.
Hmm. And another thing is when I talk about the specific strata of society, keeping in mind that this is India, like keeping in mind this is India, not everyone. Suppose if I'm signing for a feminist act, like someone in Rajasthan who is who does not feel that girls should be treated equally like men, will not probably support my petition. Similarly, someone who for the case of this is not very properly educated. In some petitions, he might not have the right say to what it is. A petition which is online deals with deals with a lot of people, and uh, deals with a lot of people, and so um, not everyone will have the same views as I have. Also, before online things came into existence, people still hosted very powerful protests and revolts, like the civil disobedience movement, the Dandi March. Gandhi did not post a petition on change.org to gather people around. So it depends on the motive of your petition, not on your
Aditya, I'm so sorry. Please wrap up. Please wrap up. You've great.
Okay, with this, I would like to end my speech.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much with that very interesting example.
Suryansh, before you go off to the next speaker, Aditya spoke for the motion, right?
Yes, he did.
All right, thank you for clarifying.
All right, not a problem. That in mind, with that interesting example from Aditya, we will move on to his teammate Swapnendu. Swapnendu, are you with us?
Yes, I'm audible, right?
Yes, you are. Do try to be audible because a bit louder. Because we had some audio issues with. So yeah, you have 2 minutes. You may begin.
Okay, so a very warm welcome to everybody present here. My name is Swapnendu Bhattacharya, and I'm speaking against the motion. So, the one thing I would like to clarify first of all, and almost everybody is ignoring this, is that internet by itself as an entity is a double-edged sword. Like you can't do something without consequences. There are good people and bad people in every aspect of your life. It's not as if something is completely good or something is completely bad. But I think that internet is something which can bring everybody together in this era, in the modern era, and this pandemic, COVID and stuff. We cannot physically communicate together, and this internet is something that helps us stay together. And if we talk about activism, then there are many hashtags and many other activist movements which have actually had a big impact, like the He for She hashtag, which was started by Emma Watson and Justin Trudeau, which uh, which helped at least to some extent lessen sexism and promote gender equality. There was a dress like a woman, which initially was not a hashtag. It was actually a sentence said by Trump, but he was severely criticized for it because, and then there was a hashtag formed, just like a woman, in which the men dressed and went to the work outfit, went to work with any outfit they wanted and the outfit they liked. So there are many examples. Like the internet can be used for good and bad. And in the case where many people are stating that at the end of the day the whole activism is done online, I would like to stand against that, because without the internet organizing people, without the internet acting as a mode of communication between people, the revolts would never have come, like, taken a place. If, if you would just kind of let me state, the even the Black Lives Matter, the it was not caused by just some people going out and others being like, yes, I would like to join. That's not how it was. There was a hashtag, people were involved, they felt the pain, they were actually part, the emotion attached to it, and then they all got a time and revolted at the same time. So it's completely organized. It's not random revolts going around. And that organizing could not have been done without the use of internet. And the other point that I would like to state is that many people out here are actually not like speaking, like saying good things about change.org, but free ones, of course, because I don't believe in paid ones. They can be used either way. But like the free ones where only your vote matters. In those ones, there was this petition that the people who, if you all remember correctly, there was an incident in which uh, an elephant with fireworks, an elephant was stuffed with a pineapple filled with fireworks, and she was a mother and she died. So there was a petition that the people who caused it should be prosecuted, and that petition reached 5 lakh votes, and it was actually recognized by the governor. And that's all I would like to say. Thank you. I would rest my speech. Thank you.
Right. Fair enough. With 30 seconds remaining, thank you, Swapnindu. That wraps up the speeches for the destructive duo. Hopefully, we've done enough damage to the debate to for it to add up at the very end. Therefore, we will now be moving into questions on their speeches. We will start with the proposition speaker. We'll take.
I have.
I'm recognizing them. We'll start with Devam and Ayud, and then if we have time, we'll move over to Anik.
Sir, a very simple question, sir. Sir, since you mentioned about the 20 million plant project and the Area 51 raid, sir, understood that 20 million plant project may not be a success, understood that they had made picnic, understood that Area 51 is something very stupid. But sir, don't you agree to the fact that they actually have made a difference in the physical world, starting from a digital platform?
I can say that the 20 million tree one is very significant, and that is not what I'm arguing about. I am telling that the reason why you're making a change, like which was Area 51 raid, would it make any change in your life? It won't change whether you go to school, whether the pandemic ends. It won't change anything. It is a petition is only successful and worthwhile if it is something which affects us positively, and is of some use. So I don't think the Area 51 raid was of any use.
Fair enough.
Can you please add to my teammate's answer?
Not at all, Swapnindu. I'm sorry. He is the proposition and you are the opposition.
Yeah,
That wouldn't
okay.
make sense at all. Anyhow, not to worry. Your questions will be coming shortly. Uh, we'll take Ayud's question now.
So my question is that in the beginning of your speech, you talked about a breach of privacy. You talked about what a person would do if, if what you would do, like whether, it's safe to put up your money to your bank credentials to a person just like that without knowing who they are. How is that relevant to speaking for the motion that it doesn't bring about any tangible, result? How is that pertinent to what the topic of online activism is?
Um, okay, what you're saying, I understand that, but like for example, you take some fake person who makes a petition for something which is not relevant and then asks money for it. And then he steals everyone else's money. The only lesson you're going to learn after the only life change that's going to happen in your life is that you won't be giving money for petitions, nothing else. Your let's face it, your banking credentials were breached upon. Your privacy was no more there. Like, how could you even think about it again?
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Ayod, and thank you, Aditya, for
I
answering.
can't have a follow-up question, can I?
Regrettably, no. We do have time constraints, and Anik
So
wants to
sorry.
ask his question, so we really want to take it. So, Anik, go ahead.
Okay. So, sir, you relied to my question to the speaker of proposition. Sir, you in your speech you heavily mentioned, repeatedly mentioned how privacy and there were benefits and there were liabilities of online activism. But given that the main purpose of online activism is to reach a wider audience, do you think the purpose is not achieved?
I think someone like he said that quantity is not quality. So like I understand that the reach was huge, but I understand that the reach was huge, but it was not everyone did that just for the sake of the better cause. Many people did that for popularity as well.
Fair enough. That's all the questions from the participants to Aditya.
Suryansh, Suryansh,
Uh,
did he
yes, Anik.
did he say something? I didn't hear anything.
I don't think he was quite audible. Did Aryan and Komakuli, did you hear what he said?
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard.
We've marked him.
Yeah,
Okay.
fair enough. The judges have heard your question and his answer, so not to worry, Anik. Therefore, we will now move. We will now move to Aryan and Komakuli. Do you guys have any questions to Aditya?
I have like a couple of quick questions, very short answers.
I request you to keep it as short as you can.
Yeah.
I have one.
Okay, let Aryan go ahead.
Okay, Aryan, go.
It's again a very short question, but when you say that the Area 51 raid was a counter effect of the planting tree thing, the motion is, does it have tangible fruit? It is not that is the fruit good or bad. The fact that people actually went to Area 51 is proof that it has tangible fruit, right?
20 people, tangible proof. Only 20 people went to Area 51. You cannot say that it was popular.
Sir, if 20 people enter into a restricted military zone with shoot to kill orders, 20 people risk their lives going into that because of a joke on social media. Regardless of the effectiveness or the intent of that fruit, the fruit still exists, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, on that note, we will move to his teammate and see how he tackles this part of the debate. We will now take questions to the opposition speaker.
Yeah.
We'll start with Pradyum and move on to Anik. You have a question? We'll take Pradyum's question and then see if it's needed.
So so in your speech you spoke about revolts or change, even though it takes place on an offline platform, it is organized through the internet, right? Now I agree with you when you say that it bears the result, but when it comes to a tangible result, don't you think the credit will go to what's being carried offline? because there the end product is attained, and when the result actually comes on, it may be interpreted as that was an offline movement, and that is why the offline platform deserves the credit for having a tangible result, even though the online platform might have a result. The offline platform is recognized as a more deserving platform when it comes to a tangible result.
Yeah, but the what I would like to put forward is the fact that these protests, these could not actually be done without online movement. Like, so if you want to actually unite people across the globe, you can't just send a message or like send a letter and wait for them to answer, and that is not how revolts work. You need to be fast and you need to be precise. So if you think that you can actually do the whole thing offline, that's not how it works. I'm not saying that the whole thing should be offline. I'm saying that online and offline both
Keep
play
it
a
short,
role.
Swapnendu.
It's yeah, sorry. But all you want to say is that it's not just offline and it's not just online. Both of them play a role. As I said, it's a double-edged sword.
All right.
Sorry. Thanks.
All right. With the example of that
Okay.
weapon being taken,
Yeah.
we will. Yes, Anik?
I didn't actually have a question for him. I had a question for you. Like, do the first speakers get a chance to refute arguments later on again?
No. We won't be doing that this time. This tournament, we won't be doing that.
That was my question.
Different set of rules for this one, as I mentioned. Therefore, we will now move on to the judges. Aryan and Kamal Kohli, do either of you have a question? Seeing as there are none, we will now move on to the next team. Thank you to the destructive duo. And now we will go to the final team for this debate, Dynamo Twice, represented by Pradyum Nahata and Anik Chatterjee. I request them to please identify their proposition and their opposition.
I'll be going for the motion, and my teammate, will be going against.
Fair enough. Pradyum, like all the other speakers, you will have 4 minutes to make your case. So concluding for the proposition, Pradyum Nahata, you have 4 minutes. The floor is yours.
Now, when does activism bear results? When people believe in what they're advocating, when people believe in their opinions, when those who are propagating that activism have a strong opinion about it, and those who really believe in that opinion they're advocating, then only it becomes effective. Then only the government considers it worthy enough of enforcing legal action to solidify that activism. It is much like a debate speech. When the speaker is speaking and the judge or the moderator believes that he has a genuine opinion on what he's saying, or he has a strong opinion on what he's saying, then only does that speech make an impact. Anywhere, a speech will only make an impact if you believe in what you're saying. Now, how is this correlated with online activism? Now, understand that online activism is much more accessible than offline activism. As a previous speaker said, that it is much easier to post an Instagram story rather than have the courage to go and join a protest on the road and actually wage that protest. Now, what has this accessibility created? This accessibility has allowed those people who don't even believe in what they're advocating, that reduces the effectiveness of the protest. Because when somebody does not believe in the opinion they're advocating, or when somebody does not simply believe in that activism, which very commonly happens across social media today, then that activism gets de-escalated. The relative effectiveness of that activism de-escalates. As we can see today, the Black Lives Matter tweets and Instagram stories. Just posting a blank screen on your Instagram story doesn't make you an activist, or doesn't show that Black lives actually matter, do they? Like, you have to propagate it, you have to preach it, then you have to practice it. Thereby, the quality of the way you advocate that activism and how much you believe in that activism actually plays a huge role. And what online activism does, it allows the people who do not even have strong opinions about that activism, it allows them to come in and propagate that activism when they do not even practice it. Now, it may happen through the demonstration effect, which when a person sees another person who actually believes in that activism. When a person sees that person, then he also wants to solidify his reputation in society, and thereby he propagates that activism not for social cause, but for personal cause. Now, sometimes online activism does bear results. However, I request you to pay heed to the motion. Today, the motion does not read online activism does not bear results. It reads online activism does not bear tangible results. Now, understand the fact when you're advocating for something and when the thing you're advocating for or the activism you're propagating and practicing, it becomes a result and you move forward or you progress in society, that new standard you have attained in society or the new social change you have attained, it does not become a result, it becomes a reality, it becomes a circumstance. Understand the fact that when you escalate something or when you bring about social change, another problem comes up, right? Now that result is not, that result might be a result, but it may not be tangible in the future because another problem has come up and because society has normalized that change that is brought about, that which is brought about within or through social media. Now in the 20th century, when women were advocating for their voting rights, or there were certain social norms in society which might have oppressed them. Now today it is considered a reality. It is considered a normal thing, right? Now that is a very great result, but it might not be tangible when we are only focusing on what is happening today, right? So when society progresses from a certain point to another further point, that point becomes the average standard for society. Even though it has increased the standard, even though it has improved the standard, that becomes the average standard for society. Though it may be a revolt, though it may be a result, it is not a tangible result. Now,
Wrap up.
right now, the first speaker of the opposition spoke about online movements being organized throughout history. Understand the fact that internet has come into existence towards the end of the 20th century, and many movements or many social movements were carried through offline platforms and not through online platforms alone. Not through online platforms, and considering the 20th century, which brought about huge social changes in the world.
Fair enough. Thank you, Pradyum. And that wraps it up for the opposition speeches, for the proposition speeches. Thank you, Pradyum. And we will see what your teammate Anik Chatterjee has to add on to the opposition to conclude today's debate. Anik, you have the floor.
Okay. So, a very good evening to the members of the House. The motion put forward by the House is that online activism bears no tangible results, and I, for one, do not agree with this statement. But before we delve into the nitty-gritties and the intricacies of the motion, let's first clarify exactly what it means. Online activism is the use of electronic communication technologies for the for the main purpose of interacting and raising awareness amongst a larger audience. Like in history, we have examples of like social activism occurring, wherein there were protests and there was a social uprising in a particular city or in a particular country. But the dawn of the internet and the increased reliance of the world on digital media has ensured that online activism bears quite a lot of fruit, as contrary to popular opinion of some of the people here. People will argue that there are no tangible results, but the fact remains that there are actually tangible results. Allow me to enumerate a few. In April 2014, the Boko Haram in northern Nigeria kidnapped 276 girls. This sparked the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls, which was used nearly 7 million times all over the world, and this brought the matter to international awareness. Famous personalities and activists such as Michelle Obama, Amal Clooney, and Malala Yousafzai themselves spoke about it in public and raised awareness about it. Now look at the consequence of this raising awareness. There was international awareness. Countries offered their support and offered to mediate. Countries offered military and humanitarian aid to everyone. And the most important thing was that the United Nations took action, and the United Nations discussed the conflict in their General Assembly. Allow me to bring to you the many people have brought up the Black Lives Matter movement, and again here too there is, well, firstly it is an ongoing movement, so some might argue that there have been no tangible results, but the fact remains that the Breonna Taylor law has been passed by the state government, and that the police brutality has been officially condoned by at least some politicians and at least some of the authorities, if not all. In 2012, a 17-year-old African American male was brutally murdered by the police, and the Black Lives Matter movement was born. With as of as of January 2020, it had 26 centers all over the United States. But when George Floyd was brutally murdered in May 2020, in 2020, then the matter came to international acclaim. Now, I want to bring to your attention why it came to international attention and why the 2012 occurrence did not. Those painstaking 8 minutes were recorded on mobile phones, and they were brought up, and they were spread all over social media, all over the internet, and within days, the entire world knew what happened. And that was one of the reasons why it gained so much of traction and gained so much of momentum. In 2012, mobile phones, it was there, but it was not used as widely as it is today. It was a time when governments could control their press and that the press could actually deny what had actually happened. But now the digital media provides proof and the means to establish the proof that the internet cannot be easily monitored by or regulated by a single body. And that actually brings me to my second point. Another point is that um, online activism takes a decentralized approach to a social cause. That it is not any particular place, it is not any particular country or city, it is not one society that is.
Can you wrap up?
Yeah, I'll do that. It's not one section of society that's fighting. It is people all over the world from different communities and societies uh, raising their voices for what they feel is right and against what they feel is wrong. And that is the one thing that the internet has enabled. It's the one thing that governments cannot stop. If one government cracks down its people, at least in the rest of the world, the fight will still go on. I would like to end by quoting Winston Churchill's words when he was addressing Parliament before Hitler's invasion of Britain. If we were subjugated, then our brothers our brothers beyond our borders would carry on the struggle until the new world with all its power and until the new world with all its power steps forth to the rescue of the old. Thank you.
One of my thank you, Anik, for ending with one of my personal favorite quotes. That in mind, we have come to the end of this debate, an end of the speeches of this debate. Thank you, Anik and Pradyum, for wrapping up for both sides. We will take questions on Pradyum's speech first. Yes, Ayush, I see your hand waving. We will take your question and move on to Ayud, if that is a question. Ayud, is that a question? Yeah. So we'll take Ayush and then Ayud's question and then move on to the judges and we'll take Aryan's question. Ayush, go ahead.
Right. So with context to your Bring Back Your Goals campaign, even a 2014 article by Al Jazeera states that despite all the international awareness, no action has been taken in place to successfully bring the goals back. How does this support your statement saying that it produces a tangible result and not simply just awareness?
So are you
Well,
asking
the Al Jazeera,
because like the proposition has questions for, right?
Sorry?
This question
It was to Anik. Sorry if I messed up the order, but to the opposition.
Ayush, let me clarify. That question addressed to Anik will be asked when we take questions to the opposition speaker. Yeah.
Sure.
So we'll take that question when we get there. Yes, Ayud, you have a question to Pradyum, I assume.
Yes, I do.
Alright.
You talked about geographic limitations because of the because of whatever is happening that people are and you also talked about the effectiveness of these things. But I think the debate is about whether it has tangible results or not. And since it does, regardless of geographic limitation, regardless of whether it is people are compelled to do things because of the trying times, how does that? How do you stand by that still?
So can you
How is that argument valid?
because I do not remember mentioning it in my speech. Geographic limitations?
Yeah, you talked about how because of the lockdown that has been you implied that people are compelled to take to social media, and it's not a thing that has been going on. It's like it has been largely the action that the offline action that actually makes any difference.
Right.
Right.
So I spoke about, I never said that people are compelled to take up these movements or to propagate or practice these movements. It is their own personal choice to solidify their reputation through the demonstration effect when they feel that advocating any movement or advocating social change without actually practicing it makes them a better person. And understand the fact that just because a lot of people are joining in and not doing, and not, even though they're not practicing the movement, just because they join in doesn't make the activism bear tangible results. What happens is that the number of people who are advocating it goes up, but the number of people who are practicing it still stays the same. So the relative effectiveness of the activism gets reduced simply because most people are advocating that activism. They're not advocating it effectively, and they're not practicing what they're preaching. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Pradyum, and thank you, Ayud, for the question. Devam, is there a question to Pradyum?
Sir, I have a question to the opposition, sir.
Right. We'll get there shortly. We'll first take the judge's question to Pradyum and then move on to the opposition. Aryan, go ahead.
Right. So I think a very important part of your speech was how online activism creates change but does not change circumstances. Right. A tangible result would be a change in circumstance. It would create a circumstance. So movements like the Twitter cancel culture or the Me Too movement, right? The Me Too movement had a circumstance change to the extent where every man thinks thrice about before even touching a woman. The cancel culture has a person, a celebrity, a very powerful person, such as the president of the United States, even to think about what he tweets and what he doesn't tweet. That is the level of change in circumstance. How do you say that there is no circumstance change due to a change in online culture?
You were referring to me speaking about circumstances. I think I don't know. Like, could you clarify your question for me? Because I think I spoke about how online activism, when propagating, when that result comes in, we have another problem in addition to that. And what change has been brought about gets normalized in society, and it becomes more of an average standard rather than improved standard.
Yes, so that exactly is my question, right? Your speech said that online activism does not have tangible result to the extent where there is a visible circumstantial change in society, right? My question to you is the fact that movements like the Me Too movement have very evident circumstantial changes in society, where to the point where a man thinks thrice about touching a woman, whereas before the Me Too movement, it was more of a normal thing, right? There is a change in the very fabric of society because of the Me Too movement. How do you justify that there isn't a circumstantial event?
Right. So I spoke about how this activism advocating these results, right? To understand the fact that I admitted to this online activism having a result. Now understand the fact that when this man thinks about, basically thinks about tweeting something discriminatory thrice when like after the Me Too movement has had an impact, when he thinks thrice, he does not think that the Me Too movement has brought it about. It becomes normalized in society that yes, the women should be respected. The Me Too movement should be respected. Like, understand the fact that it becomes normalized, and when it becomes normalized, it is not a change, because when activism bears tangible results, we're talking about change, right? And when it is already normalized in society, then it is not contributed to the movement that was brought about. It becomes
Pradyum, wrap it up.
It becomes a social norm that you shall not disrespect them.
So I'll have a very short follow-up, Suryansh.
Just keep it short. Yeah,
keep it very short. So you're telling me that society, men like they treated women, was the same before and after the Me Too movement?
No, sir.
Okay, got it.
All I'm saying is that it has brought about a change which has consolidated itself, and this change, it has become normalized.
Fair enough. I think you understood what you were trying to say. You were just clarifying. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Aryan, and thank you, Pradyum. That's all the questions for you, Pradyum. We'll now take questions to your teammate. Now we'll take a question first from Ayush, and then we'll look for the rest of the speakers. Ayush, go ahead.
So again, I'll just reframe my. Right. So you mentioned how the bring back and hashtag provide. Yeah. So With in context to that, a 2014 Al Jazeera report stated that little to no action was undertaken to actually ensure the release of those girls. And for the few who were released, they were traded for money and prisoners. So that is a favorable result or favorable and tangible result of online activism. And if so, how could you justify it?
The Al Jazeera article that you're quoting is written in 2014. That is actually very. The article is written very soon after the kidnappings took place, and it took time for the government the return of these girls. It was a time. The process took time, and afterwards, if you actually after this is over, you might actually find out that eventually the girls were and eventually they were returned in a sufficiently good condition.
Follow up?
So he said the girls were released.
Yes, he did.
I see.
Yeah.
Follow.
I would go against that, but I would say no to that.
So pertinent.
I realize it must be pertinent, but I think the judges have understood what you were trying to get at, and they understood where Anik may have slipped up in case he did. So the judges in their capacity would have inferred, and we'll now take your teammate Devam's question.
Sir, since you brought up the Lives Protest matter, sir, I understand that the hashtag of Black Lives Protest created an awareness among the citizens of America and all over the world. Sir, my simple question to you is, sir, do you agree to the fact that awareness always leads to action?
Sir, could you repeat your question, please?
His question was very simply
Yes,
put,
sir, absolutely.
because I'll just make it short.
Yes, sir.
He stated a few examples that you mentioned in your speech and asked you, does awareness lead to actual change? Yes or no?
Yes. There is precedent for the same. In many cases, it has. If you take the Fridays for Future movement, all it took was a single photograph of a young girl sitting alone outside Parliament with a sign of climate. And now, if you look forward a couple years later, it's a global movement where multiple world leaders have actually spoken to Greta Thunberg and discussed climate change with her. So yes, I would say that awareness does lead to actual change.
Right. Fair enough. That's all the questions for these speakers. Thank you everyone. We've had quite the productive debate today. We'll just have a question from the judges now. Aryan Komalkuli, do you have a question for Anik? Right. Fair enough. So with that, we have only one part of this debate left, which is questions from our spectators. So if there is anyone in the audience right now who would like to ask a question to any of the speakers, please do turn on your cameras and mics and voice yourselves.
Yeah, Suryansh, I have a question, but right now my internet connection is quite weak, so I cannot turn my camera on.
Right, fair enough. Could you please state your name and...
Anvesh.
Right. Who is your question directed to, Anvesh?
Devam.
Right. Anvesh, go ahead.
Devam, I'm going to put forward two simple examples in front of you. That is India's struggles for independence and the women's suffrage movement that is quite rightly put by Pradyum, the memorable proposition. So tell me, it took years of mass agitations. It took years of landmark protests to bring some really pertinent changes. All right, in respect to universal voting rights and also to gain freedom from the clutches of colonial rule. So tell me right now, the ongoing conflict or the crisis that is going in Middle East, do you think that the online activism has that weightage compared to mass movements, which can really bring change?
Sir, firstly, to address your question, sir, understand one thing, that online, there is this very strong, bold line of demarcation between what happens in the practical world and what the online world propagates, right? Understand that the actual action cannot be transmitted through the online platform, right? The actual action has to be in the offline, in the physical world. So what my stance actually tried to establish is the fact that the online platform acts as a very strong platform to invoke the actions which actually happens in the physical world. And yes, with respect to the Middle Eastern crisis that you brought up, so understand that if the crisis is again and again brought up in Twitter through hashtags, awareness is created regarding the ongoing crisis, the humanitarian aid. sir, I think it's pretty much justiciable that the effects of this particular online awareness is going to be very evident in the Middle Eastern crisis as well. Thank you, sir.
Right. Thank you, Devam, and thank you very much, Anvesh. Is there anyone else in the audience with a question? Do turn on your camera and voice yourselves.
I have
Right.
a question.
Right. Do introduce yourself and direct your
I'm
question.
Gaurav. I want to ask my question to Pradyum. So, in one of the portions of his speech, he mentioned how online petitions and online activism is not effective. So, sir, let us take an example. If you want to popularize a particular theory, let's say that if you want to popularize a feminist theory, right? So you cannot expect to go out on the street with a banner and present a feminist theory and expect any person and expect the social change to take place, right? You only expect the change to take place when people, more and more people get to know. And considering in today's tech savvy world where people are more accessible to social media and more accessible to such petitions, where they get to know about such changes, so considering that these offline protests, these physical protests are only successful when there is like online advocation about them, online activism about them. So how is online activism not tangible in that case?
So understand the fact that I personally, I'll say it again for you. I never said that online activism is not effective. I said that even though it does bear results, those results may not be tangible. Now you spoke about how, yes, information is organized through the internet, and when you talk about something, then you start advocating it on the streets, because the internet needs to be there for you to advocate it on the streets. So I understand the fact that when it moves to the offline platform, it becomes offline activism. And even though it originated from the internet, the end product is being yielded on that offline platform. Though the online platform has had significant weightage in organizing or leading to that result, it may not be tangible because the end product is offline activism.
Right.
Is follow-ups allowed or?
Sure, go ahead.
So basically, it's just a small clarification. You were saying that, like considering that a protest has started in an online manner, and because of petitions and social media, like social media articles on that particular change that we want to bring about, people are ready for offline protests. So doesn't that already prove the fact that it is tangible? Because it is tangible because it is able to reach out to a large group of people, and tangible means that people are able to know about the particular concept. It's not an imaginary concept.
I got your question, sir. So you have made an assumption that those people who have access to petitions or propagate online activism by signing petitions means that they are prepared for offline activism. So please do not make that assumption, because as I said in the first part of my speech, online activism is more accessible than offline activism. So if online activism is more accessible than offline activism, and people who do not actually believe in these theories they're propagating have access to online activism, then it shows that online activism and offline activism cannot be equated in terms of quality or in terms of strong support by whoever is advocating that activism. Right.
Is another follow-up allowed or?
Okay.
I would advise against it. It's okay.
Okay,
but
sure.
Can I jump
sure.
in from this?
Thank you,
Can I
Gaurav.
jump in?
Yeah.
Yes, Anik?
Can I jump in on this?
Anik, I think we have a bit of time constraints, so I would advise against it.
Should wrap it up. I have something.
Yeah. Even Aryan does have to be somewhere too. So, before we declare the final results, we'll take a poll on whether the motion for today has carried or not. So I do request all participants to vote about whether this motion today was passed or not. Just a few more votes to go. We have come down to one deciding vote, which has to be placed. Right, and that vote has been placed. Therefore, With a one vote difference, it is the proposition that has won the debate. Congratulations to that side. However, that is not what we are here for. That we are here for the doers. Now, ladies and gentlemen, now I would, before we announce the results once again, there's one last thing I would like to mention for the last time today, that we are working with a student-led initiative called Project Suffer, who we will be donating all the proceeds from this tournament to. So, and we will be accepting donations to their initiative via Google Pay, Paytm, and a direct transfer, which we can guide you on our Instagram page. To message us, and any amount of help would be appreciated as always. And I won't take any much more of your time, and I will pass the mic over to Aryan and Komal Kohli to share their thoughts as well as declare the best speaker as well as the two teams that have qualified to stage 2.
Aryan, do you want to go first or should I?
Right, I think I'll go first then. I think this debate, first of all, there were aspects that were explored that I genuinely didn't think would be explored. For example, data security. I genuinely did not think it would go there. Area 51 and Mr. Beast are different aspects in general. But yeah, I think the House did over. I think the proposition declared very well. The proposition did very well, but the opposition was no less. I mean, there was like a one vote difference. So yeah, I think the House did really well in general. Kamal Kohli, you want to add to that?
All right. Thank you, Aryan. So, guys, I understand that all of you have done your best, and the quality of debate was really nice. Both Aryan and I enjoyed today's debate. However, there's some little things that I want you guys to work on, especially for the two teams that will go ahead and qualify for the next rounds. Firstly, when you use examples to back up your points, make sure those examples are correct and that they can't be used any other way against you, which is what happened in some cases. Secondly, when you're speaking, be calm and collected. I said this to the debaters I judged earlier in the day also, because if you're aggressive most of the time, especially considering this is online, your words will cut out and we won't be able to understand what you're saying. We'll miss out on some words, and it might be something important that we might miss out on. Thirdly, please keep your questions short and keep your answers short as well. It's not another speech. Yeah, and when you answer, be on your feet, right? Don't take 2 minutes to answer, because honestly, no judge is going to sit and listen to your answer for 2 minutes. We lose our train of thoughts and so will you. That's what's going to happen. And lastly, when it comes to content, I feel like a lot of you didn't approach the motion the way I would have liked you guys to approach it, or way Aryan would have liked you guys to approach it, because both of us were really excited about this motion and we wanted to debate it ourselves earlier this day. So I just want to say that whenever you guys approach a motion, make sure you understand every single word, because a lot of you did not truly understand the meaning of the word tangible, and did not truly understand whether that means bearing a physical result or if it's a small result or a larger result, which is why words are very important when you're trying to take down or hold up a motion. With that being said, I will let Aryan declare the two qualifying teams.
I will do that. Just before that, I think what Kamal Kohli said, there was one important thing that was added. With regard to questions, why do we ask you to keep your questions short? It is because as judges, we've already heard a lot of speeches. And when you come to rebuttal, the one very important part of rebuttal is your rhetoric in rebuttal. So I think one question that Ayush asked, right? I had the same question in mind, just framed differently. So the question with regard to the girls that were kidnapped, a very interesting way to frame that question would have been, were the girls returned? That is it. Because that has the element of rhetoric in it, and that makes the judges think that the question is not right, because quoting the article over there sort of made the impact go away, but it was a really good question nevertheless. With that, I think we'll be moving on to the qualifying teams. So the second qualifying team, the runners-up, I think it's called, we have Dynamo twice. Congratulations. And the winning team, the qualifiers won. Any guesses?
Loser.
The losers.
Quite ironically, yes, the losers have won. And I think Komal Kohli, can you announce our best speaker?
Right. So today's best speaker is something their logic was really great in there, and so was their research. The best speaker in today's debate is Ayush Gupta from The Losers.
It seems another loser has come away with another win. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we have come to the very end of this debate. So, I thank everyone for joining in. A huge thank you to Kamal Kohli and Aryan for joining in. Thank you. And of course, to all the participants, without you, it genuinely wouldn't have been possible. And to the winning teams, I wish you the best of luck for the later rounds. And to those who didn't make it, yes, I will sound like a broken record player because I say it every time. A very common lesson I've learned from my seniors, which include Aryan, is that one debate or one debate doesn't really define your ability as a debater. So that in mind, there will be many more debates on this platform itself after this tournament, and there will be many more on other platforms. So I would encourage all of you, because all of you did show a splendid ability to debate in this debate. So this complete encouragement from me to you guys. And if there's any way I can help you or any of these judges can help you, feel free to contact them whenever you want, or me personally. And that in mind, we've come to a close. Thank you everyone for joining in. And as I end always before, thank you. And that's what that was. Have a great one. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.